We've created this podcast because we want to know the people behind the work. We invite you to join us at the table and listen to their stories.
All right, Hunter.
Hey.
Back again.
Yeah.
Good to see you.
Happy to be here with Luke.
Yes,
This
Mr.
is
Taylor.
awesome.
Luke Taylor is joining us today. So I think you've met him just briefly, but this is what's fun. When you bring someone that you know, I get to learn all sorts of new things. Mm-hmm. And I'm hoping, actually, even though I know Luke, I get to learn some things about him today. So Luke Taylor is joining us. And so Luke is one of a client of mine, become a friend of mine, been around this area for quite some time. And we're going to get to hear a little bit of his story today. So Luke, I'd love to have you, just for the folks at home listening to millions of people. I keep saying millions of people because one day there'll be millions of people. One day. That just who you are and what you do. I know your business. So tell us about the business you're in and what you're doing.
Yeah, I own a small machine shop in Winston-Salem called Omni Mold and Die. And that's plastic injection molds and metal stamping dies. They're tools that go into big presses at manufacturers in and around North Carolina. And we primarily repair these tools. They're thousands of pound tools. And we bring the tools back into spec, like so that the final plastic part or metal part is coming out right. And yeah, I've been doing this for coming up on 6 years.
6 years.
Yeah.
So, okay, so the specific thing is, and it's funny, as much as I've known your business, I still didn't realize that specific thing. So much of your business is things get out of spec, not working quite right, and so you tweak it, bring it back to where it needs to be.
The majority of it is repairing existing tools, and we make a handful of new tools each year. Or they need engineering modification or preventive maintenance. Like a lot of different types of jobs come through, but we're an emergency room for manufacturers for their tooling.
I love that. So you have to turn it around.
Yeah, most of the jobs are very hot, and production is on the line. They have to meet their quotas.
So everything's just easy going at the shop all the time.
Yeah, high stress environment.
Wow. Well, and so 6 years, right? This was not your career prior to that. You purchased this company. I want to come back to, because I think part of why I wanted to have you on is I love your story of, like, you had reason to buy a business. But what were you doing prior to that? What was your story prior to that?
Yeah, I was buying marinas for a bigger company that was based in Dallas, and when I joined out of business school, we were roughly 70 marinas, and then we basically doubled that over the course of a few years, buying mom and pop marinas, kind of family-owned businesses, all the way up to mega yacht deals. And so I got enough acquisitions experience to be dangerous and wanted to do something personally.
Okay, well, why yacht? I mean, why marinas? Where did that come from?
Yeah,
just the company you worked for, that was it, or were you interested in that line? Or?
Yeah, that was just a connection. I didn't grow up I did grow up going on tubing with my uncle in Orlando on lakes, so a little bit of marina background, but not much. It was a connection from actually a guy who was involved in the ministry that I was in at Princeton when I was in Chicago. He connected me to a few guys in Dallas, and one of them happened to be the CEO of this marina company. And he also went to the same business school I went to. And I was excited about doing acquisitions. It didn't matter to me what it was.
So what was your role with the acquisitions? Like, did you find it? Did you close the deals? Like, what was your job?
Yeah, I did some cold calling and like convincing these marina owners that they should sell to us, that it could be a win-win. They needed an exit. Their kids had no interest in getting into the family business, that kind of deal. And I did it from kind of the start of convincing them that this is a good idea or that we should be the ones that they sell to, all the way through closing. And then I handed it off to an integration team and an operations team. And I just did that on rinse and repeat, like from start to finish on deals.
And all over the place, or mainly in Texas?
Well, it was based in, both the biggest players in this marina space were based in Dallas, started on inland lakes, and then they both went to both coasts and the Great Lakes. So most of the deals that I was working on were on the coasts, East and West Coast.
Pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Hunter's got some sailing background.
Yeah, I love marinas.
Nice.
I was going to say, you know way more about this than me. I should just be quiet.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I have no idea anything about how to run them or anything like that, but it is a great place to be.
Yeah.
So I'm sure you
Yeah.
enjoyed it.
So you said you got a little flavor and taste of acquisitions and building, and then you said, okay, I want to do something on my own. So what did that look like?
Yeah, I had heard of this path called entrepreneurship through acquisition in business school, and like they have a class about it. I actually didn't take that class. I didn't bid enough points for it, but I was interested and knew people who had gone down this path. And so a friend of mine in Dallas who was also interested in the path, we were reading and talking to people, listening to podcasts like this. And eventually I kind of said, I really want to go down this path, and started making calls to business owners and business brokers. The deal that I ended up finding was through a broker that I had cold called the broker, and the week before he listed Omni Mold and Die. And yeah, we had a deadline to close by September 26th, I believe it was. And we closed up on September 24th of 2020 to get a government stimulus. At the time, it was called the CARES Act. If you closed your deal by that time, the government helped with the acquisition loan. So yeah, that kind of put a deadline on it. It's like, we got to get this
great
done.
opportunity. Yeah, that's right. That's right. So what was the timeline of, doing this? Did you just leave and then start pursuing it, or were you kind of just working and this was kind of on the side? What does that look like to make that shift? Because that's like a huge shift and huge risk.
Yeah, I was still working, and COVID opened up an opportunity to where I was making calls from home. Like we were all working from home, and I was still doing my job, and I actually was doing marina deals on road trips and things like that. So I was double doing, or I don't know what the right word is, but wearing two hats. And my college roommate said it's better to be mediocre at two jobs than great at one, or something like that.
You're like, I could do that.
But I definitely felt torn. Like I wanted to do this full time, but I also didn't feel ready to take the leap. But we took the leap financially, but I had a strong team in place that was running the operation, and I was a glorified delivery guy in the first couple of years, and was still working a job for roughly 2 years.
Oh, even after the acquisition.
Yeah.
I didn't remember that. So I'm thinking about, how do you move? So what's the connection? Was Winston one of the things you were, the area, one of the things that was in the mix of where to buy, or was it based on basically what the deal was?
Yeah, it was geographic. My wife's family's from this area, and so when I was looking at deals, I was looking at some deals in Dallas and some deals in this Winston area, North Carolina. Her sister lives in Durham, and her grandparents, who have both passed in the last couple of years, but they were here, aunts and uncles were here. So she grew up coming to Winston, and then her parents came here a couple of years after we moved here.
Yeah. That's pretty cool. And what I think is amazing is you bought something you know nothing about.
That's correct. Yeah.
And so what do you mean when you were a glorified errand boy?
Delivery guy. Yeah.
Delivery guy.
We have a few vans and trucks that we pick up these tools and drop them off when we finish the job. So that's how I met my customers, was taking the deliveries. And that's how I gradually learned the business, was just being our driver, basically.
What a great way. Well, it's not like, well, hey, I bought this place, so you go do that stuff. You were like, I want to go understand it.
Yeah.
Because I think there's a big myth that, in fact, I actually had this question with a client recently, like thinking about leaders. Do leaders need to understand all of the business in order to climb the ladder of leadership? And that what you did is definitely no, right? You came in here, you said, I'm going to go in, I'm going to own this thing, but I'm going to be a learner of the business. I don't have to be an expert of the business.
Yeah.
So what was your thought process on that? Because that's pretty vulnerable.
The reason I felt comfortable on this particular deal was the guy I bought it from was a serial entrepreneur who was not from the industry, and he had done Bojangles and land development, and every 7 or 8 years he did a new business, I think, and this was his last hurrah before he retired. And he sold me, and it was accurate that they had a strong team in place. He only let me meet one guy, and before the acquisition, he didn't want it to get out, and that's common. And the one guy I met, we bonded. I felt very confident, like, okay, he's going to stick around, and we're values aligned. And he can continue to be the technical expert, and I can come in and do sales and financial and kind of the different owner hats that the guy I bought it from was wearing. I felt more confident that I could do those pieces and gradually have some time to learn the business. I didn't have a long runway to do that, but I felt like I had some runway, you know?
Yeah, you trusted the person there. I mean, it's an honoring of someone's ability and say, I trust you with this. I'm going to come in as a partner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think you're going to be a serial entrepreneur? I mean, do you have an itch? You're 7 years, 6 years?
I wish I knew kind of what the future held.
Right.
I do have this itch to continue to grow, and I have had acquisitions conversations just in customers or other shops and things like that, where even though I don't feel ready yet, I can't take that hat off, or that I think that's how I'm wired. So yeah, I've talked up recently, like, hey, there's some potential acquisitions within this space that would be really cool. I don't think I could do it personally. Like we did this with like scrounging family helped us to get this, and we paid them back. And we got very scrappy on a smaller deal, but if we did a bigger deal, I would have to go outside capital. We don't have deep pockets, you know?
Yeah. I mean, it's a lot of work. And again, it's vulnerable and risky to scrounge, like you said, just scrape around, look, go in, debt, all those things. I mean, it's risk. That's the entrepreneurial world.
Yeah.
Is risk. And so what have you been learning about this? Because you had like, this is what I think it's going to look like. I'm interested. Now you got 6 years of it. What's been some of the things you've learned about it?
I think I went in eyes wide open. It's not as easy as people on the internet paint it to be, like passive.
You mean we can't believe everything on the internet?
Yeah.
Come on.
But I also, like, I think I did get lulled to sleep a little bit in those first couple of years because things went well. We actually grew in spite of me not being overly involved and being the glorified delivery driver. And then as soon as I got more involved, the business started to get more volatile. And I was like, I think it's correlation, not causation.
Yeah.
But, yeah. So, and then we had our GM retired last year, and that's the guy I got to meet going into the acquisition, who, I mean, he's a rock star, Superman, and he put the team on his back in many ways and was the glue. So I knew we had this key man risk going in and tried to address it in different ways, but it was harder even than I anticipated when the reality of him retiring actually happened, so we can go into that, but
tell us more about that. Cause that was a huge, and I know that I was part of those conversations and that transition when you have somebody who, again, cause you said you were values aligned, which is huge, very obvious, like uber competent.
Can you talk about the values alignment? I was interested in that comment too.
Yeah. He would say like every job was from above. Like he was very much a believer, a Christ follower. Mm-hmm. And he reminded me, even though I'm aligned and agreed with everything he said, he just was very open about his faith. So from the first meeting, I could tell, like, okay, his name was also Luke, which was interesting. But he was just like wise and God-fearing. And that's the values alignment, how he treated people, how he recognized that everything comes from him. Every good and perfect gift is from above, I think is in James.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So immediately you just said, okay, this is one of my guys. I can do that. So then you set off to implement and integrate into the business side. And then he leaves. And so his expertise, knowledge, like the image, he had everybody on his back. Now you have to figure out what to do in that way and how to delegate and move those things out. So what was that? What's that been like? Because I know that's not a finished task, right? It takes time.
Yeah. So we had, with your help, we went through a process of trying to understand all the different hats that he was wearing. He had about 8 different roles that we identified. And that's what I mean by he would put the team on his back, or he was Superman wearing the cape. Like he did things that we didn't even realize he was doing. We probably still will learn, like, oh, he was doing that without telling anyone, So yeah, we tried to identify those things, and we tried to hire for those things, the skills and the leadership. And You can't replace someone like that, but you can try. And you can also try to maybe have different roles, wear some of those hats, and spread that so that you're not so dependent on one person. But yeah, we had a failed attempt at a replacement. I thought we ran a great process and did a nationwide search, had like 10 plus people go into a second round, and had a scorecard where we were saying like, all right, these are the most important factors in this role. And the guy who rose to the top we hired, I was excited. He passed a technical side, the kind of interpersonal leadership side, but it just wasn't a fit. After about 90 days, we recognized that and we mutually parted ways. And so thankfully we are kind of more stable on the leadership side. We found a second attempt and it's going a lot better. And then, we're getting there. It's still a turnaround. Like we're still in the thick of it. This was in the last few months.
Yeah.
But we're trending in a good direction now.
Can we go back to the failed attempt a little bit? Because I think this is an interesting thing in your story. Like you had a process. It's not like you just were like, hey, this guy looks good. I mean, you literally thought about it. You had your values. And so you went through it. And I think, talk a little bit about that process and then you also knew within 90 days it wasn't right. Can you talk a little bit about some of those things?
Yeah, I felt like the process was thorough. I mean, like I said, we had a scorecard and we asked the same questions of all these people and we knew what we were looking for and prayed. And I felt like we were seeking counsel and doing all the things that I would think like for a big decision. We need to try to run as thorough of a process. God gave us wisdom and our own natural discernment. And then I felt like there were like points, like winks from above, of like, oh, he was also a believer. And he was saying like different things along the way where he felt like God led him to this shop, where I was like, oh, wow, this is wild. I agreed with him. Mm-hmm. And then when he was in the role, we started to hear feedback from the team of like, even though he said all the right things about leadership, the way that he was kind of treating some of the people on the team was driving a wedge and kind of causing friction and a lot of internal drama that was kind of stirring up. So I was getting a lot of feedback from the team. And then I also was getting feedback from customers of just things dropping ball, like we were dropping the ball on basic communications, and some big accounts were letting me know. And I was like, okay, like customers aren't happy, team's not happy. We need to do something here. So
yeah, because that's that's huge, right? You put all that time, money, effort. You even feel like, okay, I'm getting confirmation from above even at times. You're like, there's the emotional side, right? Of what am I reading? And then you're like, oh, this is not working.
I wanted to share, I'm in a peer group called C12, and I switched with someone to do a core business presentations, the one time each year that you really hone in and focus in on your business, and you present one or two key issues and the group gives you feedback. And they also come in before you present to the group, and they interview some of your key players so that it's a 360 review and it's not just self-reported how you're doing. They get feedback from the team. How's it actually going? And it was interesting because I switched with someone who was going on a mission trip, and we switched right at this time when I needed to make a decision. It was kind of like the turning point, and they helped give me that clarity that, hey, at the beginning, I thought the issue was I need to figure out how to coach this individual and work through this. And by the end of kind of the peer feedback and going through this process, it became clear I need to make a decision, and how do we make this decision and kind of do this in the most honoring way and also the least disruptive way to the business. But one cool thing from that, the topic was change management that month, and someone you used to work with actually shared a time where he had to make a difficult decision and how it went well because they did certain things. So I got direct feedback into the situation I was in. And then they did a highlight video, and the guy on the video had CNC machines, the same brand CNC machines that we had. And I felt like, okay, this is a divine appointment. This is crazy. So,
well, yeah, you're navigating. I just love that you're using the community of resources. I mean, C12, a group of peers, right? That you lean in, and again, vulnerability. I'm going to tell you what's really going on. I'm not just going to show you all the nice things, but having people and then listening. I mean, again, I think there's plenty of people, and I mean, I know particular stories of people that just gut through and say, well, we'll just figure out how to work it out. And you had made a move within 90 days. How was that seen with your people, with the business, the teammates? How was that experience?
I mean, I think the guys, especially the ones that were having a lot of difficulties, were very relieved, and if anything, just a complete 180 on the morale of certain individuals, that it just wasn't a fit, and then the customers, some customers were very positive, and like we salvaged relationships. I felt like that were trending in a bad direction, and it's like, we knew you would figure it out. Like we believe in you and we need you. So I was calling everyone, letting them know what we did, like kind of the decision that was made and our plan going forward. And if anything, it was confirmation, and also things kind of pop up that you don't know what's really going on. I'm always the last person to hear about it. And so there was stories like that. It's like, oh, okay. Yeah. I wish you had shared this with me before, but I'm glad I know now.
Yeah. It's hard to navigate all that, because in some ways it's hard to share things because you feel like you've got kind of a protocol, and going sort of above the head of a supervisor to another is dangerous. And sometimes that looks like, I don't know, insubordination, or it looks like that kind of thing. And then there's just a time where it's like so important to let people know what's actually happening on the ground.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I understand why I'm the last person to hear about it. Like, just grin and bear it. I'll get through this, and I don't need to share everything that's going on. But yeah, when an issue pops up with one of our biggest customers, like we gotta talk about this.
Customers are completely different.
Yeah,
because when they come to you and say, "Hey, I'm experiencing this, and you need to know about it."
Yeah,
that's a completely different thing.
Yeah, but what's an internal issue or something that's affecting you personally, it does take vulnerability, because there can be repercussions as well. Yeah. And if it's not a safe environment to share, hopefully we've gotten to this point now where everything's on the table, and people are comfortable sharing anything with me, and they know I can't make a snap decision. I'm just collecting data points and then making decisions as needed, and receiving their feedback even if I can't act on it right away, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, and I think that's the thing. You're creating a culture, because culture gets created over time. People want to have a culture, but culture is just the result of a bunch of your actions. And one of the actions that you make is you listened and made a bold move, and that's going to encourage someone else to maybe speak again sometime. Again, you're not promising that being heard means being agreed with. But being heard is, I want to listen to you. I mean, I know you've used different tools like surveys to really listen to your people. A culture where you feel like you can speak. I mean, that's what you're getting to, right? When you can speak to all the way to the owner of the business and share your perspective, you're going to level up engagement. People are going to trust you, and especially when you make decisions. I mean, you're loading up the vault with some capital of trust, and that's a big deal. That's a big deal. And to do something like that, again, it's costly to learn some of those lessons, but going through and opening up the door is huge.
Yeah, I want to give a shout out to one of the tools was EOS, and defining our values was one of the big tools that we used, that we got when we worked with the entrepreneurial operating system.
I know,
EOS.
It's hard to say.
But when we had to make a hard decision, and you point to the values, and I like, hey, I'm not going to share dirty laundry or anything like that, but just remind you, these are our values. We hire, fire, promote, and everyone is held to these standards, and you're building an intentional culture by who's on the bus. Mm-hmm. And that is now very much part of our vernacular. And this was a very glaring example of that, where people are like, okay, yeah, he means this, the culture does trump whatever skill they might bring. And those are the hardest decisions. Is a very highly skilled person. It's very hard to find people in this trade that have this specific skill set and want to live here and everything. But when you prioritize the culture over the skill, and even though it's going to be very painful and we're all going to feel that pain, I think that, yeah, we are very much intentionally building a cool, special, intentional culture that will then attract the right kind of people and will be long-term what leads to us having a healthy team leading to healthy customers and great relationships. Hopefully, like it feels like we're going in that direction. I've hired a few people recently who have said, like, it's surprising to hear that you had some toxicity here or some drama here, because they don't sense that when they walk in the building. It's a different feel, you know?
Well, I always say with core value, and again, yes, you guys, I mean, EOS helps, gives a framework, but you guys have to have the courage to execute and to make what I always tell people, you'll know in their core values when you actually let someone go because of them. People will actually believe that that's true, instead of something we just aspire to and hope we can show someday, or we unfortunately just use it for a website to try to show that we have got integrity or something, right? But when you're living it out, it does change the culture. I mean, I was recently in your shop, walked in your shop, and it's just, you know, you can feel a culture through conversations and meeting the people. Do they share things in common? And you can see that and feel that. So I'm not surprised, right? Because it's been, like you said, intentional. Mm-hmm. This cultures are accidental too, but you've been trying. The reason you've been able to make these decisions is you've been intentional about articulating what those values are, and then processes by hiring and in this case, offboarding or moving on or whatever you want to call that. And for someone to realize, like you said, mutual, kind of realize, okay, yeah, this isn't my place. It's a hard thing, but at least it's true.
Yeah. I said mutual. I don't know if that's a misstatement, but it was definitely, I came to that conclusion before he did, but we're still on speaking terms. Like he's texted me, like,
right. You had a conversation.
Eventually he came to that realization as well, even though we came to it before he did.
Right. That's good.
Yeah. I'm trying to clarify that was kind of like not a mutual. That's like when a coach is told, like, you can either be fired or you can retire. We all know what it means when 8 staff members get let go on the same day, kind of thing.
Right. But you work through it in a way that you still have a relationship. That's your point. Yeah. Mm-hmm. What were you going to say?
I was going to just ask a couple of questions. One is, what kind of training normally happens for somebody to be able to do this job?
And just the skill in this trade. It's mainly through an apprenticeship and on-the-job training. And there's something called a journeyman mold maker apprenticeship, where you get a journeyman card if you fulfill a certain, usually it's 4+ years of, you do some schooling, you do some mainly on the job, like learning how to do grinding and welding and lathe work. Like you kind of run the gamut, mill work, and you learn how to run all these different machines and how to diagnose and how these tools work, and then how to fix them and that kind of stuff. So it's very, very hard to find people who have gone down that path.
So you're going to have to grow them?
Yeah, you have to grow them or find people who had that training somewhere else. And yeah, at some point, I don't know the history of it, but it used to be a very popular path to go down 30+ years ago. I don't know how, 30 or 40 years ago. And then a lot of people started going to the college route, and it became a less popular path, or a less encouraged path, or common path. So we have a big cliff, and I think the tides are turning back to the trades, and that's a great thing. Hopefully we can kind of get our act together and start. We do have a couple of apprentices, and we're hiring some younger people. So I know they're out there. They're just hard to find. We just hired one who just accepted this week, so I'm excited, who's my age. And yeah, a lot of runway, but we honor the boomer generation. We have a lot of boomers in our shop as well. Mm-hmm. And like we couldn't do what we do without them, obviously. But we need to get a multi-generational shop going. So we have that, which is rare, I think.
Mm-hmm. What do you find is your skill set, and what are you good at in this whole thing? I mean, because you can't be good at everything, but
I'm still trying to figure that out. But I think that the people side, I feel like I'm very relational, and I've built strong relationships with the core people on our team and with our customers. So helping with kind of the HR side of our business or building a culture. I think that also applies to the new business. I'm enjoying the sales side more and more. I'm starting to get into a rhythm, getting scrappy, like figuring out how to get through the gatekeeper. And then once you're in, like, how do you capitalize on these opportunities you have a very short amount of time. Like they didn't schedule this, so you got to cut to the chase, and hopefully they believe you, and you get an opportunity. So that's kind of fun. So I'm getting into the sales team. I'm trying to think what else I do personally. I need to be better at the financial side of things, and I have training in that. But it's just not what I gravitate to. I don't love to live in spreadsheets all the time, but I need to do that probably more than I do right now.
Well, I think about the example of going to some mom and pop marina out in the middle of nowhere and befriending and building trust and just helping them think about very, very difficult transitions.
Yeah.
And to be, that's, if you, did that, that would be like other people's, they'd rather be getting a root canal than doing that and
or be a spreadsheet, which feels like a root canal.
Yeah, maybe a spreadsheet too. But so I mean, that's sometimes you look back and go, yeah, I love doing that, and I was very good at that, and I helped build that. I mean, that's how you described it.
Yeah.
And so I look at that and I go, okay, that's a gift that not everyone has.
Yeah, I think that's true. And building trust and not in a manipulative way. It's like if they don't want to do that, if it's not best for them, then we move on and keep going. But yeah, I do enjoy like building trust and organically growing or inorganically growing through acquisition. Like there's a lot of opportunity to use how God wired me to love having those kinds of conversations and trying to work through a deal, where both parties get what they're looking for, an exit for someone who doesn't have a good succession plan, or in our case, like a deal that actually makes sense. I do spend some time in the spreadsheets and analyze like what are the big risks. We need to compensate for those risks and that kind of thing. So I enjoy the business side as well. But yeah.
Well, I mean, it's interesting because, you're helping people. Ultimately, businesses are solving something, fixing something, helping something. And you are, like you said, the emergency room, right? You're helping people. And so that's the message you're delivering is we can help you, right? I mean, that's not sales. I mean, it is the technically sales, but it also is just letting people know that there's help for them. And that's something I think as I've gotten to know you, I mean, that's something core to who you are, right? And I'd love to have you share with us a little bit about, I mean, what makes you decide to take this risk, to jump? I mean, what were you thinking about when you were interested, like you said, you saw it, interested, but you still have to take that leap. You still have to ask family for help or whoever, or go get loans or take money out of your pocket and mortgage things, whatever you have to do it. What were you thinking? Like, what was the process for you, and how do you make that decision?
Yeah, I feel like the excitement of having a business that every decision is going to flow through you. Like you can have an imprint more so than if you're a small piece of a much bigger organization, and you feel like you're just a number or you're siloed. And I kind of like the idea of like think like an owner, that idea, but you have to think like an owner
because you are.
And every little decision does impact the business and how you spend your time. And so obviously the financial piece is, I don't want to sugarcoat that. I'm definitely financially motivated and would love to see this go well and make a difference for my family. It felt like when I found $100 million deal at a big company, it wasn't going to move the needle for me and my family with the very little piece of the pie that we had, so that's part of it. And so it was kind of how I can really enjoy what I'm doing, have the ability to impact kind of on day to day where the direction of a business is exciting to me. The work itself is exciting. And I eventually, I didn't have this mindset when I went into it, but over the last couple of years, since I got introduced to this peer group, I started to see that this can be a calling, and I don't think that's unique to a business owner. It can be any position in the marketplace, but that's what's getting me really amped up about just why go to work, and like what gets you out of bed in the morning is that we're the hands and feet of Christ out in the marketplace and interacting with eternal souls that would never maybe step foot in a church, but you get to be in the trenches with them. So that's another kind of piece of it that is a big motivator for me right now.
Yeah, the concept of business as mission, like, and again, whatever your mission is, you as you follow Jesus, you're on his mission, and you're saying, hey, I don't need to have sort of my church culture and my work culture or my two lives. I can be who I am, and I can make an impact on other people for their good through work. I mean, that's a pretty awesome thing. I mean, it's a tool, and you provide what you bring your gifts and abilities, but you're also impacting other people. I had a meeting with a potential client today, and I always say this. I'm sure I said this to you, Luke, when we talk, because it feels so cheesy, but I just say when entrepreneurs win, the world's a better place. And it sounds a little Hallmark cardish, but it's like true, right? Because opportunities are there. You get to take care of other people. I mean, it's a burden now because like all the things, if it doesn't go well, you have all these other people, all these other mouths to feed, so to speak, right? And you've been on that side of it. So now you have the responsibility, but you also just, the impact that you can have to provide opportunity for people is so tremendously awesome. So I love what I get to do. And so, like you said, owning a business has that, it's a responsibility, but it's also there's a lot of opportunity.
Yeah.
I was thinking similarly, but I just think about small businesses, and I don't even know what small means. It's all relative. But in one sense, it's really one of the only places in our culture where you get to say, if you're coming to work with us, you need to buy into these values and at least try them on and agree to live by them, whether you believe them or not, because we do. And it's interesting because there are very few places where that is, everything is sort of individual. It's me, it's what I believe, it's how I experience life, it's how I live. But in a smaller business, it's like, nope, you can't do that here. We require you to have these values, not beliefs, but values are kind of beliefs. And so it's a unique kind of situation, mm-hmm. and a unique experience for people to be required to take on values that maybe they don't believe, but experiencing them is very powerful, I would think.
I do. When you said it's not beliefs, and there's a difference. I don't just hire people who share my beliefs, and it's very much a meritocracy, and we can't discriminate for HR legal reasons.
Of course,
but also, I feel like it's a very cool ministry and a way to outreach when you let anyone in, but regardless of beliefs. And they get to see, like whatever stereotype they have of a Christian or of a believer, maybe it's not what they thought, or, you can be different from how they have experienced believers in the past, or maybe anyways. I also wanted to say, I agree with you though, on setting the culture. It is a weighty thing, but it is kind of cool. There's not a lot of opportunities to do that, to help create an environment where people can experience kind of the kingdom on earth as it is in heaven, like in very small ways, like trying to help bring that redemption story into like at Omni as it is in heaven in small ways and whatever you can, Yeah,
and you're creating, I love that you bring that up too, Hunter, because I do think it is a unique thing that when you're creating a culture the demand is really a kindness to people, right? Clear is kind, clarity is kindness. That concept just continues to ring true where you're setting up, you're saying, this is what it looks like to live here, to be here, to work here. And that's good. Like it gives people the opportunity to say, that's not me. I don't want to be there. And it's different when you demand, you need to believe these things, but it's different to say, this is the type of people we are. And so core values, that's why it's hard work to articulate those. You guys had to go through a process to really say, what are all these things, and like articulate. So then you can clearly give the guidelines for like what it looks like. This is Omni people. If you're not one of those people, we would love for you to find your people because you won't enjoy being here. And creating a culture like that it's a privilege, but it's kind to tell people what to expect. And if you're all selfish, like to your point, if you're just cultures don't get a self-focused world is not a culture. It's just a bunch of individuals fighting each other for the top. But we don't naturally, I mean, as selfish as we are naturally, what do? We try to find people that are like us and we want to group up with them because it's clear and it's helpful to understand.
But I think about issues like conflict. And, as I've gone through EOS in our church, one of the most interesting things was how what was it? The 3 question: do they get it? Do they want it? Do they have capacity for it?
Yeah.
That was asked of everybody, every person that was going to, looking to be in that seat, in one of the seats that we had, and it was really challenging for people to actually be honest, because they're just so conflict averse, and how they would answer the questions were like, I don't know what's going to happen here. Am I going to blow something up, or am I going to offend someone? And I think the line was, you can either do it now, or then we really get into it later. If you cover it up now, we'll have to dig it out later, and it'll be really hard. And so when you talk about 90 days, that's very quick to deal with conflict.
Yeah, I am naturally conflict averse. I don't love conflict, and this has been a big growth area for me. And that's another cool thing that God's been helping me understand is these difficulties, these seasons that we've been going through and still are in, that He can use these to help mold me, shape me into being able to engage in these conflicts, and to that clarity is kindness is on repeat as well. It's like I've been doing it enough times now, having these difficult conversations, or that I wouldn't have done a few years ago. I would have shied away from it. Now it's like, no, this is part of the job. Like this is for the good of the whole company. We have to nip this in the bud.
Yeah, I can say, Hunter. I mean, I can attest to. Yeah, that's and again, I don't think anybody's like, oh, I naturally love conflict. I mean, we do all avoid it to some, I mean, narcissists and maybe some other categories just don't care. But at the end of the day, humans don't want to cause harm to other people typically. And there's some natural ability. I've watched Luke grow in this, like having to, and not just having to because the business, but like realizing this was your responsibility and leaning into it. And I love that you also leveraged relationships in your life to do that. Right? You're not alone in this. And that's a strong leader. A strong leader will look around and say, I need some counsel. I need some help because I don't have the courage to enter in this conflict. I need some help with that. And it's a big deal. It's a big deal. But yeah, you're right. 90 days to work through something when it's just so much easier to kick the can.
Yeah.
It's way easier.
Just hoping.
Hope it'll all work out.
Hope that it'll work out.
Time heals all wounds.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, usually
It's
just
so
a whole
bad.
forest of bitterness comes with those at that time.
You're going to burn it down if you don't deal with it.
Yeah, everything comes in the light eventually. We've been talking a lot about issue solving. If you don't solve your issues, why don't you just be honest and get the issue on the table? It's going to come out eventually. Usually when we wait too long, it's much more ugly when it comes out, like you're saying. And so addressing that. And it gives you courage to and that's the growth that you're talking about, right? I mean, I could say I've witnessed that. The first time, boy, that was really hard. Took you a little longer. Like I remember when we first met, you're like, it takes me a long time to make decisions, man. Like it took you a long time to even start doing EOS.
Oh yeah.
But then I've seen like you gain confidence when you make decisions And even when it wasn't like it was all, this has all been butterflies and rainbows every time you made decisions, but you've survived the decision, you learn from the decision, and then you're able to respond a little quicker next time to that.
Well, I would love to hear. I mean, I'll go first. How about that? How I learned about conflict. I think I realized that I was much stronger at rescuing people and helping people, and I was very weak. It's like the prisoner, you know, that they lift weights every day and they only do the top half and not the bottom half, you know.
Skip leg day every day.
Yeah. So they have these tiny legs and this massive, you know, well, I had massive muscles in helping and rescuing people, and I had really weak muscles in moving into conflict and really pulling the trigger on really hard decisions. And as a result, man, there was chaos everywhere. And I had to learn that about me. And it was not, in fact, I remember the day that it was like a window opened. And it wasn't the bright, beautiful air coming in. It was this window like, you've got a problem. And you need to learn how to be strong in other ways. And I just wonder if you have any of those stories as you've been going through that.
Yeah, I still am it's still a growth area, still a work in progress, but I feel like the feeling of having to make the one that happened in 90 days. I've had other instances of this, and I am getting a lot faster at getting to that point where, okay, we have enough data points. This is a pattern. We need to make a decision, and we need to talk to them along the way. So it's not a shock at the end. So yeah, in the hiring and firing and having to make hard decisions on personnel, that is definitely one of the areas where I've grown in that, because it feels like you're inflicting pain on someone, or you think, okay, this will course correct, like sweep it under the rug, let's keep going. This is just a one-off. But yeah, if you don't bring these issues to the light and take them seriously and talk and bring them and have the conversations along the way, it festers, and they are much bigger deals than we minimize them very easily. I feel like, I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah, no, it does. It does. I want to go a little deeper.
Yeah.
So you probably have a family.
Yeah.
And
I didn't talk.
No,
you didn't ask me about that, right?
Yeah, I'm doing that right now. Tell us about your family, and maybe there's a story there because we do the same thing with our families.
Yeah, I've definitely grown on. I'm married to Ruthie. We've been married 13 years, and we have 2 boys, with another boy coming next month. And they're 6, 3, and we'll be 0. All 3 years apart. And where this area has shown itself at home is in the parenting side, where it feels like you love someone, these boys, like more than you could ever know. It feels like the most loving thing to do is to just not discipline. Sometimes that was hard for me to realize, like, hey, how do you show them like this father's love, that like you're a reflection of God to them, but how does the disciplining work? I'm still learning that, but I have gotten more firm, I feel like, in the last couple of years through how I'm learning at work, that I need to have these conversations, that it's not that clarity is kindness, or that the hard conversation is the right thing to do, nip it in the bud. All these ideas have translated at home as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's easy. It's easy to misapply love. Like, love is, because there are times when you need to overlook something and give grace, right? And then there are times when it's very unloving to let that person go down that path, or to pick up that attribute or whatever. Whether you're talking about kids, your employees, or your own heart, and it's wisdom. It requires wisdom. And again, that's where I think having people in your life to say, "Hey, I'm thinking about it this way. What do you think?" And then stop and listen has been foundational. I mean, I don't, that's the skill I've had to learn. I think where my repentance of that has come in, or where I would cause chaos, is I think I'm just so quick to make my own decisions. And so I think that's another place where you can talk to other parents and say things, or hey, I'm thinking about this. What do you think? And then stop and listen. And I think it's being vulnerable, because you have to be willing to risk that your idea is not great, or your thought's not the best one, or you could make mistakes. And we just live in a culture that's not very normal, to be vulnerable in that way. Yeah, Luke, I think it's interesting to, as you've gone through this and continue to, learn. We could bring you back in a couple of years. You're still going to be a work in progress, just like us. Like I think this is the great thing about just having a podcast like this. The reason we have this is we're people in the work that we do, and there's commonalities and common threads. No matter if you have a dye and mold business, or you're an HVAC company, or some CPA firm, or you're a mom at home, or an artist. I mean, it just doesn't matter. The human struggle's the same. What are some of the things you're dreaming about with this business right now? I'm just curious to think, like, what are you thinking about as this entrepreneurial, right? You've been in it, like, you've been like proof of concept here for a while, right? In it, building it. You're starting to see some momentum, the culture. What are you thinking about for the future? What are you dreaming about?
Yeah, it's the dream would be to continue to grow and to get to a sustainable, profitable, growing business that is not as dependent on me. I would love to get to the point where, like, I've done enough sales. It's a full-time role, and I've hired well, and someone is carrying that load and helping grow the business. So yeah, they're plugging pieces, getting to where it is a kind of a well-oiled machine as a business as well. And having a culture where people are starting to recommend to their toolmaker friends, hey, like this guy, this is different. You don't need to be a number at a big company. Come work here, and you'll enjoy it. And I enjoyed it making the move here, So yeah, building that culture, building the team, and then hopefully crushing it in the sales department. But yeah, down the road, I don't know if it means getting another business or partnering with someone to do something bigger, that isn't like all my eggs in this one basket. Yeah, that I'm exploring those types of dreams and like what is next. I'm trying to be faithful with now and this one business, even though it's small and we have all kinds of issues that we're working through. I want to be a good steward of this. It's God's business, and we're just managing it. But yeah, I don't know if that answers your question, but I could see it going all different directions, and it's exciting, but
yeah,
it's a roller coaster.
Yeah, you're intentionally building something. I mean, I think that is. It's like the future is, growth is not just a financial, multiple on your investment one day or something. It also is. I mean, we've been talking mostly about how you've grown or how they're going through conflict and figuring that out. Like, growth is having a healthy thing, an organization that's healthy and cares about each other and building the culture. I mean, that's all pretty good things to dream about, right? And work in place for it.
Well, and it's also just I don't know. I just think about the expansion of values and the expansion of healthy people who love their work and consequently maybe love their lives and their families and their neighborhoods and just how all that just expands to the city.
Mm-hmm.
And I just believe that everything we do has an impact on places where chaos rules in our city. And that's especially true with businesses that hire people and fund, families and fund, I don't know, weddings or whatever they're doing, and celebrations and also funerals. I don't know. And it's just, it has such an impact. Mm-hmm. And so it's like when businesses prosper and business owners prosper, and especially, the city benefits. And so it's a big impact much bigger than just, you made money this year, or, we just don't see the big impact of that often.
Yeah. No, I feel, bad sharing. I'm not going to share obviously details, but there's instances where people come in to our business who have off the field issues, like personal issues, addiction, things like that, or incarceration. So there's one specific instance that happened recently where, it felt like we were able to speak into their life outside of work in a real way, and there was a great transformation and a great, a connection with God and with me, like that came out of a business relationship. I just am excited about, regardless of which path I end up going with this particular business or doing something else, that God's going to put me in touch with the people right in front of my face that he wants me to have that impact on, and that these kind of divine encounters or moments with these people could have like generational impacts or ripple effects that are exciting. And we'll find out one day what those were. Usually you don't know what the seeds you scattered, what they grow into.
That's right. Yeah. Oh, that's great.
And I think too, it's the impact on you as well. Like those stories, it's not a one-way thing for a business. A business also grows and is blessed or encouraged or by those stories of difficulty. When people come into our communities, they also change us too, right? It's you're getting to grow through those, the way you care for someone and then learn about them, and then there's there's a kind of a ripple effect that comes back into the business or into the community or into the family. But Hunter, the city, you say, the city prospers when these businesses or organizations prosper. So when it's healthy spreads just as much as unhealth spreads. Right. Yep. And so increasing the surface area of healthy businesses. I mean, that's what I do. Why I do what I do. I get super excited about that. More and more of these stories. And that's one of the reasons, again, this podcast is so people can just hear stories of people, not that they're, wow, look at all the success they've had financially, but what about success in learning, growing, having impact in the community? That's like something to celebrate. And that levels the playing field for people to participate, because not everybody gets the opportunity to maybe own a business but they get to participate in a healthy one perhaps, or they can help perpetuate a culture by the way that they live and work with their coworkers. I mean, these are all opportunities that entrepreneurs are able to provide for people. That's why it's so exciting.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm grateful. I'm grateful for the work you did and do. Risk, man. Risk.
Yeah, and I think about having worked in the church for a long time, and I get so envious of people like you. Because it's just like you get so much time with people that just have never met somebody who understands the world and even their own interior life, and who cares about people like that. You just get those opportunities, and it's hard, but it's also just it's kind of amazing stuff.
Yeah.
So I commend you, and I'm that's great.
Thank you.
Great.
Yeah, I'm just on the early innings in my journey on that kind of how do you do ministry within the marketplace. But my father-in-law is one of my heroes, but his hero that he did a eulogy for him. He said he was like the layperson that he would aspire to be. He said he in a dentist chair. I think he had a dental practice, but he said he did more ministry and touched more lives from that dental chair than any person in the mission field or in pastor that he knew. And not to minimize the pastor's work or the missionary's work, because we're all members of the same body. The arms and the legs and like the eyes, they're all needed, and the mouthpiece. He talked about that. And then my father-in-law was an NFL, now he's in college, but an NFL coach. And he was in the quarterback's room or receiver's room with guys that were going through really difficult things. And he got to be the hands and feet of Christ to the Peyton Mannings or Tom Brady's that would never step foot in a church for obvious reasons, but maybe they do. I don't know. But it's really cool to be in the trenches and that to have that be, it's been a mindset shift for me, because I grew up in a church that was like, hey, let's give a hand to the person who got the call. And it's like, I'm starting to realize like we all have that call.
Yeah.
It's like the Hall of Fame was the missionary and the pastor.
Yeah. That's exactly what I'm saying. And just from that end of it, you know, I love what you're doing. And I think it's, you know, anybody who would call it less than or it's just business, you know, I don't believe that at all.
Yeah. It's all holy, all sacred.
All of it.
Yeah.
All of it is sacred.
Yeah, because there's everywhere you go, there's humans, and we live in life. I mean, to say again, it's just we you know, at Somo we like to say we are the church. We don't go to church.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're people, and again, no matter what your faith background is or what your belief system is, you take that everywhere you go. To somehow just put them in these categories is not helpful. We make decisions out of who we believe we are. We make decisions out of what we believe about the world, what we believe about ourselves. That's why we need people everywhere to live, because we don't live in these compartmentalized boxes. I mean, one of the ways you're going to show your kids or teach your kids is by they're going to watch you. They're going to watch how you interact, and it's such a cool thing. Like, you can do business as a man of integrity who wants to be on mission, and that can be an impactful place. And it's so cool, and because then it's like we don't have to. Yeah, you said you grew up in a place. I just think about that. Like, the stories are always told, like they left the secular world and went into missions. It's like, great, that's awesome. But why are we emphasizing as though that was the bad place and now this is the good place? It's like, if you have a calling to be in professional ministry, great. But if you got a calling to purchase a mold and die shop, deliver a bunch of stuff, to meet some people, learn what you don't know, have to fire and hire people, like all that's great too.
Yeah.
And that's impact. And we can do it that way. And so clearly I'm passionate about this because I'm with you. I just like, I think of this bifurcation of like, well, you know, this is the professional Christian.
Sacred and secular.
It's
and
just,
all that
it's
stuff,
just not true. And it confuses people, and it makes us be weird when we have conversations like, when am I supposed to have the spiritual one? You know, I'm at work. It's like, just be yourself. Let people talk. And like you said, you don't exclude people for believing something else, but you also let your people be who they are, and you create a culture. That's part of the culture. Open, honest communication of people. I mean, yeah.
You know, Luke, I don't even use when people use the word lay people.
Yeah.
I hate that. I hate it because it is a division.
You mean you're not different, Pastor?
It's a
Hunter?
divider.
Yeah.
It is a divider of people.
Yeah.
And I hate that idea. And even the etymology of the word lay is a derogatory term. Originally, most people don't think that now, but it was originally a derogatory term.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, I didn't either.
And so I don't know. It's just but it's the stuff that we've just ingested and we just believe it. And so.
Yeah, I heard like, I think it was called Generous Owner, Generous. I forgot what it was called. It was a podcast that I started to hear people's stories. It's kind of in this line of like they grew up in a similar environment about the call and the people who received the call, and if I didn't get that call, then I must not be called kind of idea. And when the light switch went off, that like, oh man, like God called me to this business and to this opportunity, and He wired me and placed me right here to be kind of on the mission field in the marketplace. When the light bulb came on for me, and I heard story after story like that, I was like, oh man, this is amazing, because it's so different from the air that I breathed for my childhood and even now, and church, in the church context that I'm in. So it's exciting, and then it bleeds out of work as well. So I view my pickleball ministry and I view my basketball ministry as like, yeah, you're just living, like you said, and it's not, you put on your church hat and you put on the like.
Yeah, why is
this
it
holy?
Why do we call it like even ministries? Because it feels like it's some ulterior motive. It's like, I just want to live a life and have impact on people and help people see the world in a way that brings joy and beauty instead of pain and suffering. And I mean, I think what's cool is when you tear down the divide, then even within your business, you can do the same thing where there's not lower jobs and higher jobs. I mean, I can't stand titles because I think titles are all about ego and, who's the highest up instead of it's about responsibility when you have people working for you and you bring integrity and help have everyone has influence and ability and it levels the playing field. We can all have multiple jobs. We're not low and high. And I think once we start breaking down those walls and to develop a community where everyone that works is a contributor to something, that's a way to just bring people up as well. I mean, it's not just that we struggle with the church and the world, but we struggle in the business like that too.
Yeah,
the laborer and then the executive. It's
the blue collar, white collar.
White collar.
I hear backhand comments like from the pulpit sometimes. I'm just like, where it almost feels derogatory toward blue collar. Like, oh, the disciples, do you know they were blue collars? Like, what is that a problem? Or is that less than?
Who cares the color of their shirt?
Yeah.
And I think I've mentioned this maybe on one of the other guests we have on, because I think we get to this sometimes where like Mike Rowe with Dirty Jobs, that show, one of my favorite shows, because I believe I love watching that because he just brought dignity to the average, the dirty jobs that everybody doesn't want to do, but there are people who are doing them and bringing dignity and honor and say, when you did that thing for us, it's valuable to the community, and people have gifts, abilities, interests, and somehow we because we want to put ourselves above other people, we stratifize. What's the word? We make levels. Stratify. Thank you. We bring levels, and we want to make it, and you climb ladders, and it's just that's something that has, like you said, division. All it does is divide instead of unite. It doesn't mean there's not value or higher pay or higher responsibility, any of that stuff. Meritocracy, like you say, you earn it. I'm not talking about leveling the playing field like everybody gets the same thing. But what I'm saying is all those things are valuable. Mm-hmm. And if we don't think that someone's valuable because they're humans made in the image of God doing great work, and even, I mean, everybody on this podcast doesn't have the same belief system, but they're humans with like abilities and gifts, and we just want to honor that. Yeah. And so I love that. And so, as much as we can keep those words out of our vocabulary, the better we can be for people. So thank you for being that kind of person. Yeah. So the work you're doing is good work. Your story is a great story. And I know you've deflected multiple times, like I'm still a work in progress. Of course you are. But you are a work that has been happening, and I know people. It was really fun to walk around your shop the other day, and it really was just a few weeks ago, and see happy people eager to help me with this little project that I was doing. Your generosity with that, and it's fun to see a few more people here and here and here, and again, it's not all going to be butterflies and rainbows, but it is going to be intentional culture that you're doing, which is hard work, man. It's hard work. So thanks for doing it.
Yeah.
And thanks for spending some time with us. Just taking a little time out to have a conversation with me and with Hunter.
Yeah. Thanks for inviting me. Yeah. I said when I walked in here, I was honored. This is only the second podcast I've ever been on. And I don't seek these things out. So when you sought me out for being on this, I've heard some of your other podcasts. It's a really cool concept. And I think I said, like, well, I don't know why you would want, I'm not a success story, we're in the thick of it right now. And
just all depends on how you define success.
Yeah. Right. Usually you hear someone like talk about, oh yeah, I bought this business.
Tell me your EBITDA.
10x'd it.
Tell me your EBITDA right now. That's what we want to know. But we believe, again, it's there's humans here, and we want to know about the human, and that's what matters. So thanks for sharing your story. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, man. Thanks.